To make our running page, we're going to need graphs that update as we submit forms, so we use the matplotlib imports from earlier. We'll do class setup like normal, then we'll make a horizontal layout with buttons to switch between the different graphs. For the buttons, we'll add cadence, heart rate, mileage, and time. That way we can switch between everything and look at our graphs in different ways. We'll need a lambda here because otherwise it'll crash. I'm not exactly sure why it crashes, so I won't give you a fake description of why because I don't know myself. We also use set fixed height to make sure the buttons aren't too big or too small. With it being a horizontal layout, everything is spaced in the width area normally. Now we also want to add a figure that displays everything, so making it 5 inches and 3 inches, but it also depends on what you want. I'm pretty sure PyQt just adjusts it on its own, but it's good to just put it in on your own. We do add subplot 111, which makes one row, one column, and one plot. And then we want forms at the bottom for us to input things, so we add labels before everything, and then a form like spinbox for it. We can also put in ranges and default values, so that way we don't accidentally do something crazy. After adding all the layouts, then we add our sub layouts, the form, the main, and then we want to start updating the graph. So we start by doing plot metric miles as a default. And to submit metrics, we make a method that intakes the miles, cadence, heart rate, and time. We make the new entry into a JSON and do sort of the same stuff as before with the notes log from the last tutorial. So we add self.plotMetric for miles as a default, and then we start making a new method. To add in the data, we need to read the JSON file, and so we need to make it as part of one. So we need new entry and to sort it in its own parents. So we need to read the file, and if it does exist, then we try opening it and getting the data. So we do try with open file path in read mode. If it doesn't exist, then we have to make a new parent and read it as empty for now. But for now, we're just reading it, we're not doing any writing. Now we start the writing, and we do dumping. You don't need the indent equals 2 or the ensure ASCII, but it makes it look pretty. When we do add the data, we have the empty arrays as a fallback, just in case it can't read something, and so the plot will just be empty. That's why you see 5 empty arrays there, instead of 1 like we had with the notes log. When we sort, we also need lambda again with a key as x, and that'll make it so we don't have to have a really weird for loop for each parent structure. Then we make a for in loop in the arrays and just go through them like normal. We also have a fallback for each one, so if note ID, cadence, miles, heart rate, or time is missing, then we just add a blank, add a 0, or add a nothing. To plot the metrics, we get everything from our method we just made, and if it's missing the first thing, just don't run it. If the rest is all matplotlib stuff, which should be easy for Python users, and you can feel free to customize what colors you use or change the titles or whatever you'd like. Now that the auto typing's done, I'll show you what it should look like, and don't mind that I'm pretty slow in my running. I'll give you an example run of what it looks like when you add something too. Now to work on the project page, we need to make a widget first instead of the page itself. It should display the name, a progress bar, and its status. We set up everything like normal, including fallbacks on our labels just in case someone forgets to input data. And then we just need to add widgets and we're good. Now to make the progress page itself, we'll load all the empty projects as an array, then load the data into self.projects. We have the main layout be horizontal since we want bars on the left, forms on the right, then vertical for the left with all the progress widgets. We make a function to populate the projects and update the left area as it loads too, because it's not going to be static. We want it to be updating. Then we make forms for the right side, like line edit, and start will be a date edit, end will be a date edit too, and status will also be a line edit. And we can change it as we go too. You could make it a text edit, but then it's going to be a really big box. We add the string placements next to the forms with add row. So in the form layout, it looks nice and has labels. Now we add all the layouts again, and then the page should be done. Besides the extra functions and methods we need. To load the data, we do the same thing as every other time we use a JSON. To populate the projects, we do a while loop disguised as a for loop to extract each widget and essentially clear it. But we're not there yet. I'm talking ahead of myself. We do set parent none to sever it from the JSON, and then for each project in our array, we'd make each widget a project widget class that we made before with the argument of project. So here's our while loop. So while we have something in the projects array, we look at it and set its parent to none to basically kick it out. Then we set each widget as a project widget class with the argument as project so it knows what it's working with. And then to handle the save, we do the same thing as writing new JSONs from before. However, we need to check if we're updating or writing something new. Because we don't want multiple things with the same status. Because we want to change the status. I don't want it to make a new one with almost done and just started and finished, and there's 3 different bars for it. So we check if it's an existing project, and if it has the same name, then we let existing equal that project, and then change the status. Also, we make a check that if the status is done in all caps, then we remove it. Now, to calculate date progress, we need to make a percentage from date objects, so we convert the strings into QDate objects. Then we use the days2 call to find elapsed days and total days and make boundary guards. So there's the days2 call from the deadline date to get total days, and then the days2 call to get elapsed days. That way we can make our percentage. And if it's before 0 somehow, some way, then we return 0, and if it's after the deadline date, then we return 100. Now that's all done, so we can make the formula page, which is just a science dictionary. We got to make sure we're in a scroll area so we can actually go through the huge list, so make sure to declare that in the setup. And to load the data from the JSON, it's the same boring deal all over again. Populate the projects is kind of the same as before with progress, and so we clear the items, then get the name string, the formula string, and the description string. We let the name be a label, the formula be a matplotlib graph with no actual graph, and then the description will be another label. So we will need to make a formula widget because putting it in here would be way too complicated. That's why we have the formula widget class when it's not defined yet. We probably should have put it at the top, but who cares? So to make the formula class, we do the same thing as before with the running page setup, then make the add subplot 111 with 1 row, 1 column, and 1 plot. Set the axes as off, and we can't do set fixed height for matplotlib, so we have to do set min, set max. And then we have to put in how to render the latex, so we also have to give arguments for how the text is going to look. We have to give coordinates, so 0.5 and 0.5 will put it in the middle. Latex string to format it in latex, and you have to make sure you have that installed in your computer. It should find it automatically. And then some other arguments. I'll show you what it looks like now. So the progress bar, you just need to add stuff in. I'll set the date back so you see like a 3% or a 2%. 3%, there we go. And then the formula book, just a big science dictionary of a whole bunch of science stuff.